Good afternoon and welcome to the end of day market review for February 2nd, 2012. My name is Jason Waugh, one of the trainers and success coaches here with Ideal Trading Lifestyle. I'm going to be walking through today's presentation. We are going to ask, though, that before we get into this presentation, that we give this disclaimer a quick read. Once we're done, we can go ahead and start with the agenda and get into the meat and potatoes of the presentation. All right, so our agenda, if we look here, is to start by taking a look at the daily news. We're going to just be seeing what happened in the global markets and seeing how they ended up affecting the U.S. markets. Specifically, we're going to be looking at the S&P 500. We're then going to go ahead and look at the market outlook, where we'll look at the S&P 500's technicals. We're going to be looking for support and resistance levels, as well as the volatility indicator. And when we get to that, we're just going to see what the volatility is like and the amount of fear that is in the marketplace. We'll go ahead and take a look at the current watch list and see if there's anything to look from there. There was one stock that we looked at the other day that looked like it had some potential there, but we didn't look at earnings or news. But we'll just poke our heads and take a look at that, and then we'll prepare for tomorrow. And basically, we're just going to look and see what happened today, piece all of the puzzle pieces together, and then give ourselves a trading decision for our basic and our advanced customers. Now, if at any point along the way, any of you guys have any questions, all you need to do is send a message into the chat box, and we'll answer that question at the end of the presentation. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and open up Yahoo Finance and see what we can find. Well, first off, first thing to note is the markets ended pretty flat today. If we look, we can see the S&P 500 was up 0.11%. Gold is continuing to rise up to 1762. That doesn't look like it's going to be long before it's at 1800. Oil's gone down. It's now trading below $97 per barrel. NASDAQ is really the only part of the markets that had some gains that are worth noting. But even that, it wasn't even 0.5%. It was 0.40%. This is all due to some mixed earnings. Excuse me, some of the better earnings were on the on the NASDAQ. And you can see that's obvious here with the gains that the NASDAQ had. Otherwise, not a whole lot going on. It was a very flat day after yesterday's nice little rally. So we can go ahead and take a look at the charts. All right, so here we are. We've got the tight trading range that the S&P 500 has been in for the month of January. And then we can see just a little breakout below that we had the other day, and now finally the attempt of it getting back up above that resistance level. So far, it doesn't look like we've had that happen. We really need to see a little bit more growth. Even 1% or 2 will be enough to get it back up above that line. But obviously, every day that we don't, that line just gets a little bit higher and a little bit more unachievable. Looking at the MACD, we are looking at a MACD with the black line, which is still down below the blue line. And we've got a MACD which is just barely rising. It's so minuscule that we're even just going to treat it like a flat MACD like we did yesterday. So right now we're going to say that we've got a flat bullish MACD with the black line just below the blue line. All right, looking at the volatility indicator. This looks a little bit better here. In fact, we can see that it's closing at 17.98. Now, it hasn't closed this low in quite some time. It's dipped down just a couple weeks ago, but it's never actually closed as low as it has. So we're really looking at that volatility indicator just trickling down. And this is great. It's confirming that people aren't as shaken by the pullbacks. They're seeing it as just a natural thing in the marketplace and are willing to just keep active in the markets, which is certainly what we want to see. So with that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a look at our current watch list, see if there's anything worth looking at. So right off the bat, I can actually see that Research in Motion is on both the NASDAQ and the TSX. So it'll be interesting to see what's going on with them. We know that Research in Motion and their BlackBerries have not been doing very well recently. So it's nice to see that on the list there. All right, looking at COLM. First off, we've got our white candle. We've got a MACD, which is rising bullish, black line over the blue. And we can see that the volume is definitely increasing. So that's all great to see. Oops. Drawing a trend line. All right, so that's our cycle high that we need to make sure we have a room to grow till. There's our support. All in all, it looks like it's a possibility, something that we could definitely look at more so if we're interested. What else do we have here? QLTI. All right, so we've got a white candle. We've got our MACD, which is rising bullish. And we've got our volume, which is actually pretty low. It's below 100,000, and there's days where it's even lower. So I'm going to say no thanks to this one. Simply on volume alone. Without low volume, we're running a risk with this trade. All right, Research in Motion. So we can see certainly not the greatest of track records, though it's been making an attempt since mid-December. We are, however, looking at resistance right here. So it looks like it's just at resistance, maybe just broken out. In any event, not enough for me to get terribly excited over this one. I'm just going to quickly poke my head in and see if I could recall what the pick was that we chose yesterday. I remember it was the first one on the list. And that was DRQ, I believe. Let's double check. We're not going to try to hunt it down. All right, I believe this was the one. We can see that there was a level of resistance that was broken. With the white candle, MACD was rising bullish. Volume was good, increase in volume. So not a whole lot happened today, but looks like it would have gotten your entry price filled. Now it's just a matter of seeing if this will continue to work itself up. It's got its support, 2 levels of support actually. So yeah, certainly is still a possibility to see this guy working its way up. At any rate, what are we doing tomorrow? Advanced customers, see if there's anything on your list to trade. If there is, make sure that you're looking at the opening news and futures, exercising that caution. Otherwise, you're going to be sitting on the sidelines tomorrow, seeing what happens, and then we'll make some trading decisions over the weekend for Monday. With that said, this has been the end of day market review for Thursday, February 2nd, 2012.